There you are. Starting to wonder if you'd show up. Honestly, so have I. Oh, come here, will you? It's been forever. You feel a little more substantial than before. Less camping and scrounging off the land, I take it? I suppose I do, don't I? I'm glad you seem well. Truly. I had no doubt, but I'm glad to hear you say it all the same. Wandering, mostly. The adventuring life is almost a tonic when you're not constantly threatened by brain monsters and cultists. I can finally see the world beyond the cloister. One of my first stops was the House of the Moon in Waterdeep. It's the largest temple of Selûne in existence. It seemed like the perfect spot to reflect on my parents, on where they came from. And where I came from too, I suppose. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Me, of all people, in the lair of the Moon Witch herself. Gods, your truest act of heroism was putting up with all that char and drivel I was spouting for so long. Oh, I know they are. I can still sense them, I think. And one day we'll be reunited. I don't know. Which is just the way I like it just now. Perhaps I'll just stick a pin in a map and see what I find, or head to the docks in the morning and scrounge a berth to find somewhere new. I'd like to see the islands, maybe, or head south to Arm. I heard there's an enclave of werecats that hunt the followers of dark gods by moonlight. I'd love to see if there's any truth to that. But enough about me. What have you been up to? Don't be a stranger.
Have your associates always been so ugly?
Tara.
There's something strange in your old friend's mouth. What is it? A familiar invitation. He wants you to throw the object he's dropped. But it isn't a ball. It's the astral prism. Scratch barks merrily in something like agreement. He whines. Let's talk, more throw.
It's good to meet again.
Are you enjoying yourself, my love? Bold. There'll be plenty of time for that after we're caught up with our old friends. Anyway, I'll need to visit the doctor on our way home. He said there's a potential in his infirmary. A very old woman recently diagnosed with a wasting sickness. She seemed interested in what I have to offer. I want to have a good long talk with her before we make an arrangement. Though, if I'm being very selfish, I hope she'll say yes. I'm absolutely famished. And think of all those memories. I don't hide it well, do I? Some things don't change, even when everything else does. It's funny. I'm hungry in my body, but in my soul, too. That woman has lived a long life. Births, deaths, love, misfortune. And if she agrees, I'll be able to give her a dignified end and remember it all in her honor. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's enjoy ourselves. Always, darling.
I wish it could last forever.
Well now, you can make yourself presentable when you have a mind to. How nice to be understood again. I have spent the past months bickering with builders and bankers, all to restore the same twisting alleys for purse pickers, same wooden buildings ready to get burnt by next year's dragon, same cisterns overflowing, huh? Baldurians simply get on with it. Stubborn harpers have come from half the world over to... My own son, Jord, has been wooed to their ranks. Already. Not so for my daughter. Ryan's rejoined the Flaming Fist. Though she spends more time locking up comrades for pocketing aid funds. They might learn a thing or two if they don't expel her. Again. Ah, yes. Forgive me. There wasn't much time to offer. They ask about you, of course. But I keep them a little too... there is still much to do. People... I may have little love for this city. But so long as my family chooses to serve it, I can do no less. The songs of my suffering will break heart. Now, before this night grows any deeper, I must inspect the refreshments. You'll never know.
Well, well. Look what the Tressim dragged in. Professor Gale Decarius of Blackstaff Academy. Educator of the esteemed School of Illusion. A pleasure to remake your acquaintance. She did not. I'm delighted to report. I surrendered the crown of Carsus to her, as I told you I would. And in return, she cured me of the orb at last. Even now, I struggle to put the feelings into words. Of course, I haven't clarified with my students that the orb is no longer a threat. The legend of my explosive capabilities is an excellent means of controlling a... I spend most of my time trying to convince them how much fun the study of magic can be. But it'd be easier to crack a smile on an intellect devourer than some of my pupils. I confess, sometimes while marking a student's 5th attempt at explaining the principle... In fact, I've actually been considering writing down the story of our adventures. The true tale of our... And what of you? What are you making of this newfound lease of life we earned? From you, I'd expect nothing less. I've told my students plenty of tales about our escapades. You're something of a hero to them, you know? I'd be delighted to introduce you to my current cohort as a guest lecturer, perhaps. I'm sure they'd have plenty of questions for you. Well, I, for one, can't wait. Of course, you'll be most welcome to stay with me in my... It will give us plenty of time to catch up. I'm very curious to know what you've been up to these past months. But I suspect the test... So, in the spirit of selflessness, I encourage you to mix and mingle.
You made it! Now the revelry can truly begin.
All right.
I'm glad the roads were kind.
Oh, hello. Let me guess, you've got some suggestions about the music choice. Suppose I'll get...
For 2 months we trained as Knights of the Comet. For 2 more we skewered Kithraki bellies. And for 2 more yet we traveled through Limbo. It has taken all of Orpheus's efforts to conjure our projections here. And all of mine. Worth it, I'd say. Right here. Enjoy your night. Chatter away. For tomorrow, we face Zareth Minyaragith.
Zareth Menya Agith. How well you know the name. The immortal god king of the Githzerai. And how glad you are that the plane of Limbo remains untouched by the sun.
I do. Minyaragith is an ascetic. He reached out in good faith. He will aid, and if he refuses, we carry on. Gravity pulls us in but one direction. We are warriors of the comet. We will blaze forth until we burn Vlaakith's bones to ash and smash her. And when the comet has risen, the Githyanki will be free. Free to act, free to speak.
Let's move.
This one night is like any other, and yet different. Thou art the savior of Baldur's Gate, until such time it requires saving again. How dost thou feel? If thou could only see the paths of fate untaken, thy mind would surely break. Be glad of thy chosen path. It is, after all, thine. Enjoy the revelry of the day. Thou deservest at least that much. What indeed? Prick up thy ears and listen. The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. Thou played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready, for thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you. There thou art, the dead three. Thy faces gods, thy actions barely worthy of the name. Didst truly believe thy ploy would succeed? Didst believe I would not notice? Thou sought to bolster thy strength by taking away the souls of mortals. But souls vanish when their hosts become mind flayers. Didst think the other gods would not notice? Gods thou may be, yet thou hast proven thyself fools. Everyone. The supplication of Bane, the whimper of Baal, the death mule of Merkel. Felled by mortals. I overestimated thee. They did not. Vermin, away. Thou wilt trouble us no more.